mean, from its inception, Theodore Herzl was talking about expelling Arabs and taking their land. And, David Ben-Gurion, there's a good book actually by an Israeli historian, Ilan Pappé, where he goes into sources from the 1940s to 48 Arab-Israeli war and shows that the Israeli leadership explicitly planned out the ethnic cleansing of Palestine and planned which villages did attack and how they'd expel as many Arabs as possible. And David Ben-Gurion spoke openly among his associates about the need to ethnically cleanse Palestine. And I mean, since then, it's been persistent Israeli expansion. You can't, in my opinion, consider Zionism as being akin to a European nationalism. And this was something I was seeing a lot as well. People, this idea that like if we support Zionism, we can have like reciprocal support from the Zionists, which is just like
I'm waiting for those checks to come in. Yeah,
I thought we were way past that. But implicit in it is like that it's just another form. It's like Germany for Germans or Ireland for the Irish. But I mean, you're just kind of accepting Zionist lies because they're not the indigenous people to that land. The Palestinians are the indigenous people. Any consistent sort of blood and soil nationalism would side with the Palestinians.
Right. I mean, absolutely. I mean, first off, it's not like the Zionists don't support nationalists in these countries. And it's not like this is some unknown thing that they do. We know exactly whom they support and what they do. They do it, relatively speaking, openly. And you mentioned the counter jihad movement, which, did obviously offer, some insights and so on, but was basically just a wing of the Bush administration and the Iraq War and so on. I mean, that is clear. I don't know if they ever really counter-signaled the Bushian foreign policy, with maybe the exception of Sergei Trifkovich, he's a paleo-conservative, still writing. But that was like a small little drop in the bucket. I mean, whom are they really supporting? They're supporting Christian Zionists and Glenn Beck, i.e. they're throwing millions at the goofiest conceivable holy roller, ridiculous buffoons you can ever imagine. I mean, I guess I should tell you what I really think about Christian Zionists. It's a ridiculous movement that is stupid, that is never going to attract the best people in the slightest bit, that is utterly destructive. And yeah, I bet a lot of those Christian Zionists, if you go up to them and say, we should stop illegal immigration, I bet they would agree with you. But, on pretty much every other thing, they are some of the most ridiculous, tasteless freaks on the planet. And like those are the people who get funded and get reciprocation, at the very least, by Zionists. It's not us. It's never going to be us. And I don't know, like, we're not going to appeal to them in some way. You might appeal to some very small faction of Zionists who want, a kosher, for lack of a better word, version of nationalism or identitarianism. But those aren't the big boys. The big boys are going to throw money at goofy ministers who get their flock to, give money to Israel and to support foreign wars. And basically believe in some kind of apocalyptic scenario in which the Middle East is going to blow up and Jews are going to convert to Christianity and Jesus is going to return. I mean, that is not us. That's not anything we want to be a part of. Let's just be honest about this fact. We don't really gain anything. And to be honest, there are a number of, you could say, elites, smart people, wealthy people, and so on, who, if they don't so much take the Palestinian side, but they recognize this catastrophe for what it is, and they don't want to be associated with a bunch of Zionist loons. And so we can actually, I don't know, like, why don't we try to appeal to them as opposed to appealing to people who would never support us and who clearly have thrown their support behind the most ghastly version of white nationalism I could ever imagine?